and then we'll. Up on this episode of Mac Guy's Garage, Brian, the Coaster Ninja, and I discuss our favorite musical groups. We also give our 2 cents worth on the streaming services. And, well, you can't forget about Apple's CarPlay. And what's this whole 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon? How does that apply to us? Grab a cold one and stay tuned. The garage is now open. Oop. I cut it too quick. Oops. Yeah. So what did you think of that opening?
Great opening. And since our topic tonight is music, I couldn't have picked a better song. I was kind of jamming there a little bit, man.
Well, I thank you very much. I thought it just fit the garage theme.
Yeah, definitely, easily. Yeah.
You know, I ended up getting a year's subscription to Epidemic Sound, so they have all kind of stuff that you can put into different, like if you want to make videos or drop them in YouTube and whatnot, you get it from there, and then it's got a license and everything. You don't have to worry about getting copyright tagged on YouTube, and so they got a lot of different selections of stuff, and then I think they also have sound effects as well too.
Wow, nice.
Cool. So, great. But anyways, I am the Mac Guy, and
I am also the Coaster Ninja, and we're happy to be here with you tonight. We're going to talk about some music-related topics, as Mac Guy said in the opening. Talk about some music groups, it sounds like, Mr. Mac Guy.
Well, just call me Chris. I'll call you Ryan, but, I just, I figured this time in the garage we'd have some fun, BSing about, the title of the show is Music, CarPlay, and music streaming and CarPlay. Oh my,
yeah. And I don't know about you, but it's impossible for me. It's impossible to think of cars without music somehow, some way. Whether you're in the garage working on your car, cleaning your car, whether you're on the highway, on the road, jamming to some, really great tunes and music. I know that's what I do personally. So, and in addition to being like an amusement park and coaster fan, music is one of my favorite topics. So I'm really pumped and happy to discuss music groups with you tonight.
Oh, speaking of music and amusement parks, have you ever been to we'll take a side street here, and
Sure.
Have you ever been on the Rock and Roller Coaster?
Yes. Funny you said that. Family vacation we took before COVID hit. We went down and definitely was able to ride that. I believe we rode it twice. So the lines weren't too bad. And, given the Aerosmith theme surrounding that specific roller coaster and that being my favorite style of music, rock in general. Yes, it was kind of like the perfect combo of two worlds for me. The only thing I would have liked at the ending was maybe throw in a horror movie theme thing. But that's just my personal thing. Yeah. Have you read
it? I have. Every time we've gone down there, and the one time, I don't know if it was the last time or the one before that, my older son and I, everyone else went to see Fantasmic, and we said, no, we're going to go ride the Rock and Roller Coaster. I think we rode it probably 4 times, I want to say, right in a row. So, nice. Yeah, we had fast passes, it was, not very heavy on the, the weight line, uh, and literally almost got off, got back on, right in a row. Yeah, it was 4 or 5 times. By the final time, my wife was calling and like, "Hey, we're done. Where are you guys at? We're getting off the coaster. Yeah, we'll be there in a few minutes."
Yeah,
So
yeah, that had to be great. You had to have memorized every song they played on there after the 4th time, right? I'm assuming you got off the coaster and said to your son, "Hey, let's walk this way. We'll get back on."
I like that. I like that. Uh, have you watched, Ted Lasso? He's done stuff like that before.
I have not yet. I am so far behind on several shows. That's one of them. No, I've not gone down that rabbit hole yet.
Well, that'll be a topic of a later date, but, yeah, he kinda does that, someone will say something, he'll chime in just like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, when you go down to Disney and Universal and all that down there, I guess, especially on that roller coaster, you have to, attack it, live it on the edge a little bit, right? Okay, I'm done. I promise. I'll do it.
Oh, but trust me, there's gonna be a lot more of that throughout this, episode. The
Sounds
all hands off.
Yeah, right.
The, keep as you're going down the coaster, you gotta keep your hands up.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, maybe they can. I don't know. Like they can just push play every time you get on the coaster, so they can rehash all the songs all over again, right?
Yeah, well,
We could go on and on, Chris. Oh my goodness.
the oh my. The, what sweet emotion.
Yes, yes. I think we deserve a round of applause. We did that very well for just coming up with it on the fly like that.
Yes. What is this, a comedy show or is this a music show?
Yes, yes. I guess it's a little bit of both since we're weaving music into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but when you gave the intro and you talked about music groups, I personally cannot live my life without creating lists of my favorite things. So, music groups I happen to have a list, top 6 favorite music groups that I remember off the top of my head. So yeah, the whole list thing works in this domain as well. Um, so I don't know if you have a favorite music group as well or a listing of them, but happy to talk about a few of mine.
I don't have I can't think of a, specific, music group right offhand, but the one my wife gets, mad, and my older son, because, the one singer that I like an awful lot is, of course, Billy Joel. But,
Classic.
hands down, you gotta go with the Piano Man,
Yeah.
you know? Um, in terms of, groups, I mean, I'm more I guess I would say more the '80s groups, like,
Mhm.
Journey and, stuff like that. I don't have there again, I'm blanking out right now, and I don't have a specific group in mind, but any of just about any of the, '80s groups. '90s, it started to me, it kind of started falling apart, and then by the 2000s, like, no, I'll stick to the classic stuff.
Yeah, the styles had changed so much over the years. I mean, even from each decade kind of has its own sound and style. If you stay within like that sort of generic rock terminology. Although by the
Yeah.
2000s, rock and roll starting to slip away and not even become the most popular form of music anymore. But yeah, so follow-up question, I guess, for you. You said specifically 80s. Am I assuming that's because the time frame you grew up, that was, kind of what everyone was listening to at the time, or what
Yep. Yeah.
you were attracted to that specific sound and those styles and everything?
Um, yeah, well, I grew up and, that was like the time frame that I was growing up, so, yeah, I'm a big '80s kind of person, pop music and that type of thing. I still listen to I'll go off on a dark side street here, but, you know, when I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of classical, and I still listen to classical, but with music with me, I have to be in the right kind of mindset. I can't listen to music if I'm wanting to jam out to something, and I
Mhm.
can't, you know, I can't listen to rock if I want to like something, because I go from jazz to pop country, Lady Antebellum and Rascal Flatts and all those guys, and then even classic rock like 70s, 70s, 80s, that type of thing. Led Zeppelin, uh, the list goes on. So it's but my kind of forte that I always, refer to is the 80s, like 80s on 8 on Sirius XM.
Okay, really cool. Yeah. So what you're saying is you have an eclectic music taste, which I think everyone should have because there's so much good music out there. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
something that I've discovered over the years because I primarily operate within the 70s as being my favorite decade, if you will, of music. Primarily in the rock space, although I have, just for example, today, since sticking the 70s decade there, I was at the gym today running on the treadmill, getting my run in. And when I was walking over to the gym, I had no idea what I wanted to listen to, but it's something usually upper beat because I'm running, right?
Hmm.
I'm not going to listen to like, um, ballads or anything while I'm running on there. So it just popped into my head. I'm kind of in a disco mood. So I put ABBA on and I listened to ABBA while I was running. So like, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's still upbeat, so
Oh
yeah.
yeah, still upbeat, some really great, synthy, and decent drum beats and bass rhythms behind, all of that really great disco music, especially the disco beat. I love that disco beat, like the drum thing on the 1 and the 3 instead of the 2 and the 4.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's just a cool, really cool drum technique, but that gets me every time. Or it might be the 2 and the 4 instead of the 1 and 3. Anyway, it's the
Well, you're getting down there, the 2 and the 4, the 1 and 3.
yeah, I music, it's the only form of math I understand, so when it all comes down to it. But yes, primarily, even though I am younger and did not grow up in the 70s, I was heavily influenced by my parents and their music uh, preferences and styles. So my dad pretty much influenced all of my rock, and my mother influenced a lot of my pop and some of the disco elements. So kind of grew up listening to a lot of that stuff, fell in love with it, and then have kind of found other avenues from there. So in terms of groups,
That's my next question. I was going to say, what's your favorite group, or can you not single out one favorite group?
oh, I can easily single out one single group. In fact, I can give you my top 6 in order because I've thought about this. I care too much about making these lists, apparently, and I've thought a long time about them. And sometimes there's some jockeying for positions here and there, but number 1 has always been and stayed number 1. So I'll count down from 6 if that's okay
Yeah,
to keep
go
the
right ahead.
suspense going. Love all types of rock and roll. These are all rock and roll groups. Southern rock, prog rock, hard rock, classic, all the metal, love them all. So number 6 for me is ZZ Top. Been a lifelong fan. Is one of the groups that my dad introduced me to, and I'll never forget. It was one of the groups just jammed out in the car all the time with them, with my brother and my dad. So
Very nice, very
yep,
nice.
yep, they are 6. Number 5 is Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
All
okay.
all versions of Fleetwood Mac. I love the popular Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham era, but I also love the early blues era when Peter Green founded Fleetwood Mac with Mick Fleetwood, and they kind of did their thing before Peter Green left the band as well. And there was a small middle period before Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joined that I also love a lot as well. So they're number 5. Number 4, the Rolling Stones. I was never a Rolling Stones fan for the great majority of my life. However, in the last 5 or 6 years, I'm a really, like, my heart lives with the blues specifically,
Hmm.
and Stones did a lot of blues rock um, from that late 60s through early 80s period, and I just fell in love with that, and now they're like one of my all-time great favorites. I just love their dirty, raunchy, you know we're gonna jam out and just get what you get is what you get, and kind of.
You get plenty of satisfaction, right?
Yes, I do get satisfaction listening to them. Not I don't, or I should know. So yeah, they're my
You
number
like that
4.
little zinger in there?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Well done, well done. They're my number 4, and they're one of the bands that has climbed for me. They started out like in 10. Now they've moved up in my top 5. Number 3 is Boston. Boston, like ZZ Top, was one of the bands that my dad influenced me with growing up in the car. Just that guitar tone and sound by Tom Schultz. I can't not live without that. And that's like a perfect summertime band for me, along with ZZ Top in a lot of ways. So
Well,
they used to be my number 1 for decades.
oh wow.
But then I found other groups as I aged, and they hit me a little bit more. So
Well,
there are 3.
the one song I do, speaking of Boston, the one song that I love is that Don't Look Back, I think
Oh,
it
yeah.
is, with
Yes.
the intro and all that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's you can't get better than that on jamming out on a car.
No, absolutely agree. Off their second album, same title. Second album has the same title as the hit song off of it. And like you said, the intro, that spacey, he did some miraculous things. The guy in Boston was like his own sound engineer and developed like their own technology and tools back then that he used to make noises out of his guitar that sounded like they were in a spaceship or something like that. So yeah, good stuff. So there are 3. Number 2 is Rush. I have, again, Rush changed my life. I like a lot of the technical elements that they bring to their playing, especially the drummer, Neil Peart, rest in peace. He's been gone now for like 2-3 years already, unfortunately. They really changed my life when I heard them. I was like, I have never heard anything like this before.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, and they've stuck with me ever since. And number 1, by far, the band that has changed my life the most.
Ding.
I absolutely adore Pink Floyd. David Gilmour's my favorite guitarist. The noises and the sounds and the tones that he plays, the way he bends certain notes, and he's not like a very technically proficient guitarist and will wow you like metal or anything like that, but just he plays with such emotion and tone.
Money is probably
And
one of my favorite songs from them.
dude, isn't it like catchy bass line, odd time signature to start out with, 7/4 time, then it gets into the jam sequence and you get back to
Wow.
4. Yeah.
Dang. You
Good
know
stuff.
your time signatures.
I'm a nerd. I'm a music nerd. What can I say? So I didn't discover them until I went to college, and
Oh, wow.
probably
Okay.
a lot of the same stories from other folks might come from that. But they changed my life. Again, like a spaceship came down. I was like, "Who is this?"
Speaking of Pink Floyd, a little side story. There used to be a record store up in Natrona Heights that I'd go up, stop and see, check out some new stuff and some older stuff and so forth. They had it set up the one time for these definitive technology tower speakers, floor standing tower speakers with a widescreen TV, and they had another brick in the wall on I think it was a DVD, of the video, and then they had a sub. Holy cow! That's you
Yeah.
couldn't get at the time. You couldn't do any better than that. It was like, you know, I think they had AdCom amps and all that stuff. It was like, I'm just sitting there going, watching in awe. Yeah.
That is so cool. And like to bring tech into here a little bit, since we're talking about tech as well, they are probably one of the bands that you have to hear with like really good high quality earphones or something like that, headphones. Turn it up because you're going to hear little bits and pieces they're one of the most well-produced bands of all time, I feel like. So yeah, any like hi-fi, high resolution sound system or whatever with some video display as well, because they are a little bit trippy, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's going to be a memorable experience, and I think that's honestly the way to go with them.
I'll have to give that a try. I just got a set of albeit they're small, PreSonus studio monitors, desktop monitors, and I just been listening to like a song or two every night, from my conveniently trial play of or trial run, trial play, my
Yeah.
trial of Apple Music. So it's yeah, if you can't do if you can't pay for something like that, you got to at least do the trial. just to check it out and see all the different music and all that.
Great point there. So, if like to transition here real quickly, what are your thoughts overall with your experience with Apple Music so far?
My biggest complaint with Apple Music, Pandora, all that stuff is you want to go in and I'm one for wanting to go into listening to an album, and I've run into it a bunch of times where you'll have 3 out of 8 songs on the album, and it's like, or you'll click on it, go to get an album, see an album, you'll click on it and it says, "You're not available in your area."
Ugh,
Wait, huh? What? I pay how much a month for, streaming? So, the that to me is, I mean, again, with streaming services, that is kind of akin to magazines.
mhm,
It's great to, magazines are good nowadays, like Zinio and that type of thing. That will uh, you can buy all kind of magazines and you have them one, one account on your iPad. You can look at 30 different magazines. Streaming music is great for going in a car. That's about it. And that's where, going on a long trip in a car,
mhm,
because then you can take 15,000 songs with you and you can, between that and, Sirius XM,
mhm.
it's just, I'd rather, pay the, I've gotten Sirius XM down, where I've had it like 5, $6 a month, for a year. And you can do that because then, unless you go into a tunnel, it's always going to be there.
Yeah,
Albeit you don't get to pick your own, songs, but there's different genres, 80s on 8, 50s on 5, road trip radio, stuff like that. And you hear a nice mix of it. You don't have to have one CD playing, or so yeah, streaming services. I'm not too much of a big fan, of. Albeit, I've had a Apple Music trial for, I think, Sirius gave me a 6-month free trial as being a customer of theirs, and then I managed to get another 3 month trial from, because I said I don't want to do this, and it popped up and said, "Oh, hey, take a chance. You might get up to 4 months." Okay, sure. Well, so I ended up getting another 3 months. So I'm like, okay, hey, for free, I'll do it. Um, but like Pandora, I don't know. I've used it kind of off and on. You know, um, Spotify is good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but there again, you Spotify is going to, all that stuff is going to keep going up and up and up. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so I mean, I guess you could say that's my little rant. I guess, yeah. And the nice thing uh, with owning a CD is you got a physical copy of it. You got
You
you
own
got
something with your money that you've invested. It's a
yeah,
tangible item.
yeah, and albeit it takes you a little bit of time to have to put it into the computer and rip it, and I'm sure a lot of people don't. I don't have time for that, but I'm a tech guy. What can you say? I got time to do that stuff because especially whenever you set it up, you pop the CD in, iTunes or whatever your software of choice is, it'll just rip the whole thing, and it's just a matter of switching out to the other one, and then you have the whole digital catalog and whatnot.
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna, well, I don't even like this anymore because I've heard different stories. Is if you buy iTunes Music, and it could suddenly go poof out of your account. Same
Ugh,
with, Amazon, it's like, so I'd rather have an actual physical, and yes, that's one of my, favorite, jazz artists, Harry Connick, by the
nice,
way.
nice.
But yeah, you have a physical copy and you can always go back to it, and then we can even dip our toe into the albums. Albums are coming back, you know, and the whole thing, like I attribute albums to, is like it's kind of the difference between a cool white bulb or a soft white let me trip over that again. A cool white light bulb and a soft white light bulb.
Mhm.
It's kind of like that. One person likes it, the other person doesn't.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But the rich, warm sound that you get from LPs,
Bingo.
the snap, crackle, pop. Albeit it's not easy to carry. It's not easy. Well, it's easy to store. I mean, you could have 40 albums, in an area like this. So
But they
uh,
do get heavy. I have an album collection, and I have them in those crates. Man, those crates can get heavy pretty quickly.
oh, yeah, definitely, and especially with the new ones, the older pressings are a lot thinner, and the newer pressings are a lot thicker. But it, yeah, it just, I mean, when you
You're
want music to come alive, listen to it on an album. If you want just music to have clean music, get one of these, because then also too, this can be turned into digital, and then you have it all the time, and you're
you're
not
hit you're
renting
hitting
it.
you're hitting on another important element here that's kind of a thing for me. So this idea of owning the tangible physical item as a collector of many things, music being one of them, this kind of strikes a chord, and for preference for me at least, it is nice to have that physical, tangible item. And let's admit it, one of the experiences of enjoying music is in looking at liner notes, cover art, all of these types of things. If you minimize that to a small little digital box where you can't see the intricacies or, anything like liner notes, or forget about reading words or anything like that because you can't digitally flip through, this image of just the album cover, um, you lose all that. You lose
Hmm.
that as part of the experience. And to me, that's a vital part of the experience. Sometimes it sets the tone, it sets the mood, it gives you more context into what you're listening to. And it's sometimes as much enjoyable as actually listening to the music itself. So, yes, I'm totally with you on this physical, tangible item thing. And this element of the collector's item kind of goes missing when you go towards that streaming option, or even digital ownership to some degree as well.
Yeah,
No arguments for me.
yeah. I mean, there again, I'm not 1,000% against streaming.
Agreed.
Because, you jump in a car, and go take a trip, 3 states away, you need something a little bit easier. Because 'cause I've been on trips before the streaming came on the scene, and, and these into a case, that's like that, it then you're sitting there trying to, okay, what CD we want to listen to,
Yep.
put that in,
Yep.
whereas you just take your phone nowadays and just
Yes.
pull something else up, or turn on Sirius XM if you're lucky enough to have that, and there you go. You have music to jam out onto the road, and you're not sitting there in stone silence, hearing the crickets as and semis going by, because
That's an excellent point. So that we don't sound like we're completely trashing on streaming, or the digital capabilities now. Yeah, I think you make some really valid points. It saves you time, it saves you effort in things like this. Or like I said earlier today, going to the gym, want to listen to something, can just easily flip through, different songs as I'm running. I can easily switch to different groups if I want to on a
Mhm.
platform like that. If I so I don't listen to the same one song over and over again, or the same band if I don't want to over and over again. Yeah. So yeah, definitely positives to that experience as well too. No doubt.
Yeah, though not only I'll say I'll go to from your positive, I'll go to my negative. The digital, you don't physically own it, and you don't even own the actual track, so they can take it, pull it from there anytime. But then also too, oh gosh darn it, I forgot what else I was going to say. Um, there, well, talk amongst yourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it just it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. Oh, I think one of the things I was saying is the pricing.
Uh,
Pricing is going to start going up
yeah.
and up and up. and and it's like, so for te- let's put it this way, for let's say for example, right now they might I haven't followed up on what the prices are of it, but it's say it's $5 a month now. Before you know it, it's going to be $10 a month, and you can buy, you can start a collection off, $10 a month and buy a CD, and there you go. And even at that, you can places like, you know, uh, old record stores, or like the Exchange and places like
Yeah.
that. You can find CDs anywhere from a dollar up to $15, and who knows what. But and at that point, a dollar each, say you find 5 of them, "Oh, I know this group. Oh, I like the," you you have 5 new CDs that added to your collection.
Yeah, it's a good point. They're gonna follow it's potentially gonna follow the same model as the streaming services for other forms of media. So, yeah, because they continue to increase in price as well as the business models change and fail or not, they're all in direct competition with each other. So, yeah, I agree with the pricing component as it being a problem as well, and can be a difficulty. Yep, like everything, there's ups and downs, positives and negatives. Um, just gonna
And
have to weigh them out sometimes, I guess. Sometimes it depends on the scenario and the situation.
and just to kinda go back to what you were saying earlier, the whenever you actually pull out an album out of this, record sleeve and actually put it on there, it's just and then take the tone arm, drop it down on there carefully. It just you can't get any better than that, I think. That with a good set of speakers and, oh, you got sonic art.
It is. You're right. That's the perfect term for it, sonic art, because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And those preparatory steps of pulling the album out, taking it out, looking at the thing, setting it down on a table, that's all like pregame in a way. Like
Yeah,
you're a sports fan, you're pre-gaming at that point
yeah.
because you're waiting for this payoff. You got to go through all these steps. You set the needle down, and then it's like, okay, let's go.
Mhm, mhm.
That's a whole there's a awesome sense of buildup and, getting you even more excited about the payoff than just clicking on a button sometimes, and then you're taken right into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I could see yeah, I just go on forever. It's like, when it in short, it's good, it's also bad. I'm gonna say, 30, 40% maybe good side of things. I'm more on I've ranted on that on my, site, about, like, "Hey, why do we have," where is the whole pull it out of the record sleeves and, are we, that short for time that you can't go, "Hey, I want," you know, you just tell, who to, "Hey, play this, channel or play that channel," and albeit like, well, Bob FM's pretty good, you know, that's a terrestrial station around our area, but it plays anything from '70s all the way up to current and even, like, off the wall stuff, and it doesn't stick with one it goes all over, so, that's even better yet because it's not the same 10 songs on a regular
Right.
radio station, in your area that, cycle through. "Wait, I heard this song earlier today, what?" Yeah, I'm like, "Can you find other songs?"
That's an interesting that's I feel like that's a whole nother show and tangent we could go down because I have some thoughts about that as well. Yeah. What to
Yeah.
play and what not to play from the radio perspective. We should definitely consider that as a topic one point in time too.
Oh, no, I think I'm gonna we gotta mark that down on that one, so but to kinda circle back to music, the probably my I just wanted to add in one of my favorite genres is jazz. I'm just like a big jazz guy. Of course, my wife gets, she's going, "Oh, why do we have to listen to jazz again?" Jazz soothes the savage soul. I mean, it's better, it's livelier than classic, but it's kinda like I don't know. I guess you could say it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It just it goes together, and
So
just about no one. I'm sure there's people out there that don't like peanut butter and jelly, but a lot of
sure.
people do. I bet.
Yeah, no, it's a great analogy because there's plenty of people that I've met in my life that just despise jazz, like they would despise peanut butter and jelly. I happen to like jazz, specifically jazz drumming. That to me is probably one of the highest forms of drumming I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. So I guess a question for you is it are you a fan of jazz because of the crazy technical proficiency involved with the instrumentation of the music? Or is it more so just that easy going vibe that kind of brings to it? Or is it something else?
I would say it's just that easy, laid back kind of music. And then not only that, but also too, depending on the jazz artist. Um, well, it's kind of I don't know what your flavor is on this one, but if you've ever watched La La Land,
Know of it, haven't seen it yet.
the one part, he's talking about he went to this jazz club and he's talking to the co-star. He's like, you see how they play off of each other. That guy's playing over there and that, but that's the easiest way to explain it. If you get a group, a jazz band together, that's good and has been playing, they can, like, they don't even have to, like, this is our set way of doing it.
Right.
They kind of go off
So it's
and
it's the improv nature and
yeah,
the
okay,
different
that's
directions that it could possibly go if you are
exactly,
good enough with it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I totally respect and dig that because that's sort of what I appreciate, in a completely different style of music, but kinda does the same thing. Jam bands will often improv and
Oh,
jam out
okay.
songs for 20 some minutes, and it's like you have no idea where they're gonna go, but they're so good at what they do, and it's
Mhm,
all based off of improv and just keying off of each other, that it just adds to the experience because it's wonderful when you get to know a song by heart and you know that song by heart, but it's
mhm.
also a tremendous experience not always knowing what's coming next and being totally surprised, shocked, and in awe of what results from that improv nature. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, whether it's you got Billy Joel going to Billy Joel concert and, him taking a song that he's played, studio album or studio song that he's played, and it's like you're figuring on, okay, it's gonna do this, and then he goes off and, goes this way, or like, um, River of Dreams, a lot of times, if you ever watch it on YouTube, he'll play the first part, and then, like, somewhere in the middle, he'll either stop and then switch gears and start singing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game,"
Yes.
or he'll go and do a Beatles song or do something else, and it's like and then he just blends it back in, and you're like, "Oh, okay." You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. No, that's live, of course, is always I love live. So yeah, you get those surprises sometimes that add to the overarching experience. But jazz, like you're saying, you probably get that every time because it's very
Mhm.
rarely the same every time.
Yeah,
So
exactly, and, I like what you were saying with live. I love live a lot more than I do studio recordings. Um, albeit I listened to when, the Billy Joel channel was on, they had asked him about, "Do you like live CDs?" And he's like, "I don't get live CDs, it's not live, you're not there, you're not there, you're not experiencing the
yeah,
crowd and all that stuff." I'm like, "But you still get the same song, same songs and feeling of, albeit you don't wanna, experience it, but you still get the same vibe, I guess you could say,
sure. That's
and
captured still. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing about it is and then you get all that, like, "Oh, hey, he went off this way and then came back over here," like, I mean, like, another to switch over to jazz, Chris Botti, if you listen to any of his live stuff, he may play, one of his songs a certain way in one concert, but then you listen to it on another concert, it's like, okay, that's totally different. Yeah. And it's like the one and the same song, but you just take it off in so many different directions. And uh, that's the cool thing with, albeit, concerts are getting very expensive nowadays,
Yeah.
but you get stuff like that. Or even Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places, you know, you really don't hear that mysterious third verse, on a studio cut of that. It just does the final verse and then, the song ends. But if you have a live CD or go to one of his shows, he'll
Mhm.
usually always, pause and it's like, they're doing the same beat, and it's like he's looking around going, mm-hmm, okay, everyone's like going nuts. Because they know what's coming next.
Yep,
You
yep,
know,
yep, yep.
so it's just that's the fun thing at concerts. So I
I
mean, I
think
don't.
it's good for the artist to push their audiences sometimes into different territories, especially with well-known songs. Like, it's good to listen to and experience very well-known songs in a different flavor or manner sometimes. I think it's a positive. Now, a lot of times people get into trouble for that because a lot of people times just want to hear the song as it is on the album. And trust me, to be a contrarian, there are definitely albums, groups, and songs that I love the album versions of as well. And I'm just in the mood for that, even though I know the live version is going to be slightly different. But so it exists in both ways. I'm
Yeah.
not trying
Oh
to
yeah.
completely say give me live all the time. There's a
Well,
reason
no.
why Gimme
Yeah.
Shelter hits so hard off of that studio album version.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I totally agree on that. It's
so
kind of like, depending on the mood of music that I'm in or you're in, it's there again. It kind of goes one and the same. So.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you had in your concert going this summer, have you had any good concerts where, you've had some songs that, like, "Hey, oh, no, that just suddenly made a left turn," "Oh, where's this going now?" For a
Yes,
specific song. I
yes,
mean, you
and
don't have to do one specific, you can say, a couple or whatever.
yeah, specifically, I mean, like the example that comes to mind the most is I know several jam bands catalogs, and they specifically play songs differently. They'll start it out the same way, but it ends in a completely different way each time. So, you know, um, I guess a couple examples would be there's a smaller, not a smaller jam band, but they usually draw smaller crowds. There's a jam band called Humphreys McGee that I've seen multiple times, and they always kind of do that. And they also do covers really, really, really well of everyone that you could think of. So when they pop one of those out, it's always a dream come true because a cover is technically a song we know pretty well, but because it's being covered by a different artist, does sound completely different all the time,
Mhm.
right? So
Oh, yeah,
that
definitely.
happens.
Did you
I
have any specific, this summer that any concerts that you saw this summer that you had something like that with?
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say the other ones that kind of fit that mold probably were I went to go see Dead and Company, their final tour. This and I don't know their catalog that well. I like the Grateful Dead, but I
Mhm.
don't know their catalog like the back of my hand. But they played a couple of the same songs that I did when I saw them last time, and they always have that different ending or different flavor to it. So
Yeah,
that's an
yeah.
example. Went to see ZZ Top this summer as well. And the big difference there was their bassist died
Oh,
last year. So they replaced him, and I was a little bit nervous just how that was going to sound in its entirety. And honestly, the new guy does a phenomenal job, and they were rocking. But the
oh, wow.
bassist, because it's a different person, brought a different feel to some of those songs that gave them a slightly different edge, almost in a way, to him that I haven't heard in a little bit. So, R.I.P. Dusty Hill, but it was quite enjoyable because it was the first time I've ever heard these songs live with a new person, and they sounded quite different in comparison to what I was used to hearing before. So yeah, that's just a few examples.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Well, you were saying about that just reminded me to kinda skip back to, jazz. I don't know if you ever heard of the Manhattan Transfer.
Mm-mm. Oh, yes, Manhattan Trust. Yes,
Yeah,
heard of. Yes.
yeah. They're one of my favorite jazz bands as well too. I have a I have a I have a bunch of jazz bands, yeah, that I like a lot, but their founding member, I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but their founding member unfortunately passed away, and then they had I guess you could say understudy come
Mhm.
in, and he's been just if you listen to you know, some of the newer stuff with him in it, and then listen to the older stuff, I mean, he kind of blends in almost, pretty darn good.
Good. That's
I
great.
mean, so he does a great job. So I kind of know what you mean by they would end up with, the band loses someone, someone else comes in.
Yeah, and especially within jazz, I feel like understudy is the perfect term for that because that music is so serious and the style of it is so like we were talking technically proficient and you have to know what you're doing. It becomes even more important that you get the right person to fill in um, to keep that cohesion and everything melds and mixes as well as it does. So yeah,
The To pivot I guess to pivot around to, you're talking about we're talking about concerts and, music and all that. I'd be curious to see what the, producers behind the mixing boards, or, whenever they go in off script or something like that, like, "What is he doing?" Behind these big mixing boards and, like, "Oh, get a light on," he suddenly just decided to walk over there out of script, yeah.
it has to be as much of an art as the actual performances themselves, especially when you're dealing with groups that do go off tangent and jam out in different ways and all that kind of stuff. Think of lighting shows and stuff like that. I mean, you got to be on the tip top of your toes every
Oh,
single
yeah.
night, for the ones that have that incorporated into their shows, at least.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
yeah,
some of that stuff gets this mixer over here would be minor compared to what, some of those guys have. The,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is like, elementary school. Those people are like, PhD, 6-year degrees,
Yeah.
in college, and dwarfing me. I mean, that's kinda like, whenever I say about my Christmas light show, I'm, minor compared to some of those people, like, if you ever watch the Christmas light fight, on
Um,
ABC, it's anyways, but I digress, let's backtrack a little bit, get
yeah,
back up onto the street, Main Street here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Well, that that kind of fits our bill, we're just kinda all over the place, but, like I've always, said, it's music which, you'd be listening to in the garage, and what are you doing in the garage? You're 9 times out of 10, you're wrenching on a car or wrenching on a bike or wrenching on something like this, so there you got the cars, but, also too, if you're it could go you pick one thing, technology, it'll basically I guess that's kinda like what is that phrase, 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It just
Everything's full circle and comes back, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking amusement parks, or we're talking music, which in turn leads into roller coaster, which in turn leads into Disney World, which in yeah, those
Yes, we checked all the boxes, I'd say, Chris, right?
uh,
Speaking of garages, what time does the garage close?
it should be coming up here pretty soon. The, I think, yeah, let's see. Let me check here and see if yeah, yeah, it looks like it might be closing here. We got to, yeah, probably about 5 more minutes here, and the garage, it's got to shut down for the night. Then
Fair
the
enough.
did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, that's
No, I mean, we talked a little bit about everything, and we could definitely go down the rabbit hole of music. Maybe we'll give the people a part 2 at some point. What do you think?
oh yeah,
What do
because
you
I don't.
think?
That sounds good to me because I don't even think we didn't touch on the Apple CarPlay and that related type of thing. but
Yeah. Yeah, that's
maybe.
true. I mean, we could hit it real quick now if you want, or we could save it for next time and even talk about more groups or styles and stuff like that too.
Hmm. What do you think? I give that I give I give that a seal of approval then.
Seal of approval. Let's go for a 2, a 2 for next time.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, you got to think of it this way: is the album, has the first side, and then what do you got to do with an album? Flip it over to the second side.
Part
So
2.
we'll stop back and revisit this and have the B side of the album, and we'll go from there. But anyway, ooh, wait, I did that wrong. Hang on a second. Let's do that. But until I guess on that note, that was the chime from the garage, owner, and saying, "Hey, it's time to close. Back the car out and get out of here." Yes. The
Yes.
let's say adieu, and I bid you adieu.
Did you as well?
The
Ciao, folks.
I've been the Coaster Ninja, or no, wait a second. Let me try that again. I've been the Mac guy, and you know, well, yeah.
I'm the Coaster Ninja. It was great talking with you all tonight.
Talk about screwing that up there. But anyways, we'd say the garage is closed, and you guys. Let's see if I can do this right. It should be. I think the kind of like in the theme park, they have the closing theme coming up here, and hopefully, I think it. Oh, I do hear something. So I've been Mac guy.
Coaster Ninja. Till next time, folks.
Yep.